August 21st, 2024. I am at Joel Pearl, and we're banging our way through the week. It's time to get in the week. Jeremy Lambert is here. Construction be damned. You will be here for all of eternity. How you doing, Jeremy?
We have banger after banger after banger after banger. Seeing if they would get it a little bit louder, but they didn't. They're kind of working their way through everything here. But yes, there's going to be a lot of banging going on as they work on. There we go. Work on the deck back here. Is what it is. I think I warned people a couple of weeks ago that there's gonna be people in and out. We're getting some remodeling done, and so yeah, it is happening. That is what is going on. My house right now.
Listen, Jason's already said you joined the Bang Bang Gang. When we got on stream today, I said you're clanging and banging. The Rock's visiting your house. Tribal Chief, he's gonna be there soon. Maybe he's gonna bring you some. I don't know. Bring you some more hammers.
Why is the Tribal Chief gonna be here? What?
Well, because you got to work with the Rock in tandem. They're still friends for now until otherwise stated.
Oh, okay.
Got to get some of that Terramana in you.
All right, sure.
Although I feel like doing deck work while inebriated is a bad idea.
Yeah. You know, it's the alcohol talking. It's the beers talking.
That's right. Brother, please don't. But brother, please leave a thumbs up on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Get the fireworks going. Get those fireworks going.
Fireworks. There we go.
They're the fireworks. They're always for us. Don't worry. The beer didn't cause that one. And you can donate a super chat. Any amount, get your question or statement read on the air. Oh, my goodness. Supports us on the channel. I don't even want to talk about the Hogan thing because it doesn't even need the time. It's just stupid. So we'll leave it at that.
Oh, I can't curse.
Yeah, no, we're only 2.5 minutes in. You got to give it time.
Fine.
Yeah, you should. After the show, you're going to have to go for lunch and have burger after burger after burger. That was a great promo after Sheamus came back. And everyone got in his case for not being in shape enough. Meanwhile, he looked better than most of us. 2 weeks later, he's like, I just didn't eat for 2 weeks and I worked out incessantly and now I look great. Sheamus rules.
Do love the Sheamus. He's going to be in Ireland. He's going to be part of College Game Day this Saturday.
That's right. He's making sure that Pat McAfee gets off safe to his new returning gig at College Game Day.
Bless.
Do you think at the end of that season they're going to run a promo for Pat McAfee on College Game Day that was similar to the one they ran on Raw?
Maybe, honestly, they might do a recap of everything. They should have done that at the end of last season. They got to do something to start this year. A video recap for what happened last year. And they got to have the let a naysayer know line in there. That was one of the best television moments of 2024. I think it was maybe it was actually 2023. I don't remember when the championship game was. Regardless, let a naysayer know was fantastic television.
People ran with that one too. That was definitely a topic of conversation for a while.
I mean, they should have. It was hilarious.
It got a lot of people going. There you go. Oh yes, Pat McAfee. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you feel about his work on WWE programming, he's moving on for now. It was his last Monday Night Raw this past week. Say a prayer. Say a thanks. Say whatever you believe in. Pat McAfee, we hardly knew ye. Except for the first time. We knew ye better back then. Was this run better or worse than the first one for McAfee?
I think it was similar. I feel like people thought it was worse, but I honestly thought it was pretty similar.
I think it got better towards the end of this run. I think it started bad. And then, yeah, like we'll say worse. There are other people who are going to, chime in, I'm sure, during the chat. But for me, it was like it started off pretty rough. It was like it was Pat coming in and being like, I haven't watched the show, but what are you going to do? Fire me? And Michael Cole being like, no, we can't do that. We never would. But he came off the last few weeks really loose, and even the last couple of months, he's been loose. He's been more engaged. But I guess that's what happens when you start knowing you're giving up time and you're about to be finished for the year. Oh, Pat McAfee, we wish him well. All right, what else is on the docket? We got to talk about Monday Night Raw. We're going to talk about this Moné mag. We got to say it right, or else she's going to get upset and be
Right.
very upset with us.
Well, this isn't news, but it could be news. So, wrestling, Brandon Walker, just Tony Khan did an interview, and Tony Khan's asked about Britt Baker's suspension. Let's hear what Tony Khan has to say. And by let's hear, I mean I'm going to listen to this, and Joel's going to fill some air.
So, for those who don't know, Britt Baker had been suspended for a couple of weeks, and now she's back. And feel how you will. I think that this suspension was not. It didn't come at a good time, because the story between Mercedes and Britt had started off pretty hot, and I think people were excited coming out of Forbidden Door at the prospect of doing Britt versus Mercedes. And there was some really good story coming out of it. We talked about it on the show. Jeremy and I were in agreement that it was going to be, the one-upsmanship. It was going to be someone wins a match, the other one comes and stomps on the moment. That's kind of how it started. Britt stomped on the title win for Mercedes Moné, and then did it the next night at the championship ceremonies. The big moment was stomped on again, and then Britt wins her first match back, and Mercedes jumps it, and then everything just kind of fell apart, and that was really weird. And then the news came out about what happened at Dynamite 250 with the hour-long Iron Man match, though, or not? Sorry, it wasn't an Iron Man match. It was just an hour-long match between Danielson. Oh my God, I'm forgetting names. Between Ospreay, and I'm muted anyway in Jeremy's ear, so it's fine. Between Ospreay and MJF, and of course that was for the now American Championship. He won. Did MJF. But somewhere in the background, at one of these points, there was a disagreement, reportedly, between MJF and Britt Baker, and whatever ensued ended up with a suspension for Britt Baker. Baker has since come back. The match with Mercedes is still on. It was never off the table, but it felt like things have kind of cooled down for a bit. They added Camille to Mercedes' presentation. I think that's good. I think it's been really fun. And then they brought Britt back, and it was kind of weird. She gave the promo to Britt Baker via satellite about how Mercedes was just going to pick up her ball and go home. And that was not exactly the type of promo that I would have cut in the scenario that was being laid out between Mercedes and Britt. Instead, we're now doing this match, and Mercedes is still the heel. She's still the bad guy, and Britt is supposed to be the good guy. So we're doing it, but it just doesn't feel nearly as hot as it did when they initially introduced it. I think most people will agree Mariah May and Toni Storm has been the standout feud for the women going into All In. I don't know if Jeremy has gotten through the whole thing, or if he's still. Are you still listening? Is it a whole lot of nothing? It's going to be a great show. Tremendous show. Love this show. We love all of our talent here at I've just read someone from TNA here in AEW, and we look forward to the match between Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Mercedes Moné.
Yeah.
Was that actually the quote?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
He didn't say anything. He said Britt Baker was still on television. It's great having Britt Baker back. She's going to be facing the CEO at AEW All In. Watch AEW All In. Britt Baker's great. We love having Britt Baker around. Watch AEW All In. CEO DMD.
God bless. That is so predictable. I love it. Jericho's going to be performing at Fozzie's going to perform it All In again. So there's also that. While we're just heaping on the disappointment. So do you want to transcribe that, or could you just?
I don't know if I can. I don't have anything.
There is nothing. I had to do a 3-minute. I had to do a 3-minute explanation of something just to give you the words before you even knew what to say.
So here's the thing. I always I don't like to be super braggadocious, but I'll be a little braggadocious in that like I'm good at my job. I feel like I'm very good at my job.
Yep.
And I listened to interviews. I was listening to a Swerve interview the other day, and it was like a week old at this point, honestly, because it was taped before last week's Dynamite, and I just got around to listening to it on like Monday. So it was pretty. That shows you how old it kind of was. And like it wasn't much of an interview. There wasn't a whole lot to it, honestly. Like, it was kind of it was Swerve was about as cliche as Swerve is gonna get, and typically he's not. And the questions were just pretty straightforward down the line. But it was like a 20-minute interview. And so the wife's kind of listening to it with me. And I'm just like, oh man, like that was just kind of cliche. And then she's like, well, are you going to be able to do anything with it? I was like, I wouldn't be that good at my job if I couldn't find something from a 20-minute Swerve Strickland interview. He's the AEW World Champion. He's about to headline AEW All In, even if it is 5 days old. I would not be good at my job if I could not pull something out of this interview. So I pulled something out of it. I don't feel like it got a whole lot of traction, but whatever. It is what it is. I don't like wasting my time when it comes to these interviews. This whole interview is about 40 minutes of Tony Khan. And it's time-stamped, bless them. I don't know if there actually is anything on this that's like actual news. Tony just he promotes and he promotes and he promotes and he promotes, and it just I don't know.
Sounds like a whole lot of nothing.
Like I feel that I'm not doing a good job, that I can't get anything out of this.
I don't think that's really your fault. I don't think you control the words or actions of the interview. And I understand that your feeling is you can pull something out of everything, but also you are, someone's saying right about what he was wearing.
He's wearing a Max hat, if that means anything to anybody.
He wore a WBD hat in his last video interview that went out. So listen, there's clearly something going on there. Go to FightfulSelect.com. We got plenty of news on what's going on with that particular deal with AEW and WBD. Like, sure, I understand the feeling that you have about being able to pull something for anything, but also you and I have talked about how important and how valuable our time is. And if you're going to invest the time in listening to something, I think your expectation is that you will pull something from it as a result of spending time on it.
Yes.
It's not your fault. It's because you're going in blind to most of these interviews anyway. You don't know what's being asked. You can have timestamps, but the answers might just be exactly what we just talked about.
What? Man. I don't know. I'm broken off of this.
Let me give you some news that some people might actually enjoy hearing. Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. This was the new revived venture from Scott D'Amore. They just announced this morning that Konosuke Takeshita is going to be on the show.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's going to be, again, Saturday, October 19th and 20th at St. Clair College. I'm giving them free publicity. Why not? In Windsor, Ontario. You can check that out. They're also going to be live on Triller TV. So Konosuke Takeshita has been announced for that show. And, Josh Alexander is also planned to be on that show. A lot of TNA talent, a lot of international talent, a lot of local Ontario and Canadian-based talent. They will be there too. So just one more name on a pretty stacked first show. Raj Deji is also going to be on that one, the former Jinder Mahal. So looking forward to that show. No, I will not be there. Windsor is far. And I don't want to do it.
I knew Raj Desi, Jinder Mahal was on it. He was previously announced. Like Josh Alexander, I think you mentioned that he was on there. But like, I would love to have Tony Khan on this show. I would not ask. I feel like Tony Khan is a tough interview because you got to frame things in a way, and you can't let him off the hook with stuff. That is one thing of this interview as I listen to it, is like he's kind of let off the hook. Is like, Britt Baker heard she was suspended, and then Tony just like kind of makes a face, and then Tony is just like, Well, she's been on TV. She was just on TV this week. And then Brandon is like, well, that's what the internet said. Like, I didn't say, like, the internet just told me she was suspended. And then Tony launches into Britt Baker's great. Having her back is great. So, like, that's letting him off the hook. It's got to be, if you really want an answer there, it's like, well, here's what's been reported. Is this true? Is it not true? And then press him on it. He still may give you the same stuff. Because I actually think, like, Ariel Helwani is a good interviewer and does press, and Tony's going to do what Tony's going to do. So he's a very tough interview. Honestly, if we had Tony Khan on the show, I'd probably just ask him about, like, ECW and stuff. Just ask him about old time wrestling, because the stuff he's going to talk about today, he's going to just tell you everything's great.
Yeah, it would be fun to have Tony on the show. Tony did an episode with Grapsody not too long ago, maybe about a year and a half now.
Yeah,
how long?
It was January of last year.
Yeah, so you can check that out, because it's funny, because this was something that I was thinking about probably a few days ago. Was what if we spoke to TK? And it's one of those interviews and one of those conversations that I've always been curious about how it would go. And again, Jeremy has covered almost every single TK interaction in the public eye since AEW began. And I'm like, there are a lot of things that I know Jeremy would pull from various experiences that he's had listening and covering these things. Whereas I would be coming in, wanting to maybe press more, maybe just, and I'm not saying that we're going to waterboard and we're going to get all the answers about everything. No, it's just, there are certain answers where someone in the chat was mentioning that Tony loves to meander, talk in circles, and then forgets the question. That's kind of how Tony goes. That's Tony's direction when he speaks. I would like to try and focus that and see how that conversation would go. And Kamal Stevens is saying, as frustrating as it is, it is 2 S's. We got to get that right. Tony is doing his job. And it's fair. He puts his promoter hat on in these interviews. Like, we've never faulted him for that. It's just, there's not much else going on there.
I do think, like, he's definitely doing his job. He's promoting. Like, good on him for doing that. That's what he should be doing. I do think there's just a lot of diminishing returns if you do it as often as he does it. And if you don't give people a little bit of substance, it just becomes okay. So an example I'll use is he was on the Dan Le Batard show. That was actually a very good interview. It was not Le Batard who did it, but the person who did the interview knew very well of knew Tony's game. He even said it before Tony come on. He's like, I'm gonna try to get something out of Tony. He likes to promote. He's gonna plug the show and everything, but like I'm gonna try. He asked him about like running the Sphere in Vegas. He asked about contract tampering. That one, hit made the rounds a lot. He asked about like Shaq and things like that. Like it was, and then he asked, the usual stuff of like hologram and you announced all in Texas, like all this stuff. Like, but that was a good interview. You have to know what you're getting with Tony. And yeah, you have to not let him off the hook in a lot of this stuff. And I think in this interview, he was basically just let off the hook. In the media calls, it's very difficult because you can't ask follow-ups. You're asking like one question and you can kind of spin that any way you want. And of course, it's all pertaining typically to the show that they're promoting. The media call, by the way, is tomorrow at 3. We'll see how that goes. I also just think a lot of people just don't ask great questions. And I'm not saying I'm a great interviewer. I actually think I'm really bad at interviewing. But there are questions you have to know to ask. And there are questions you have to try to differentiate yourself with. And one thing I mean by that is when it comes to like the media call, I don't know what's going to be asked tomorrow. One thing I would want asked that I haven't seen asked is like, did they ask WWE for footage for the Danielson stuff? That is something we've talked about on this show. I've not seen anybody ask Tony about this. I've not seen anybody ask Danielson about this. That is one thing. Like, I just want to know. And that's a very clear-cut answer. That's a very yes or no answer. Now Tony could spin it and be like, we think we had a lot of great footage of Bryan Danielson. We wanted to really focus on his ROH and his AEW career, and we put together a great video package. It was set to Good Riddance, Time of Your Life by Green Day, Bryan Danielson, AEW All In, main event, Swerve Strickland putting his career on the line for the AEW World Title. He may give you a complete non-answer, but I don't think that makes it a bad question because it's a yes or no question. And sometimes I think that's what you have to ask Tony is just yes or no questions.
You know what you do? You send, before the interview, you send a shock collar. And there are certain words that if you say, the shock collar will go off. And most of them pertain to the promotional materials that you're trying to use during your interview. Tony Khan gets shocked 100,000 times doing 10-minute interview about upcoming AEW show.
I did a Tony Khan quote once, and I counted the number of times he said great. And it was like 13 times in like one quote. He just said great 13 times in one quote, which is a lot for, a pretty short kind of quote there. But yeah, he great and great and just great, and everything is great in AEW.
Great. Oh, I'm sorry that he broke you. It is a new drinking game. Every time he says great, you take a shot. You probably won't survive after the first 10 minutes of the interview. But you want to lean into Raw for a few minutes, and then we can go back to all the other stuff with AEW, because it is All In week. They've touched down in the UK, in Cardiff. They're going to be there for Dynamite tonight, this afternoon, depending on where you're from. Maybe it's tomorrow. Who knows? Depending on where you're from. We'll talk about all that, but you want to get into Raw for a little bit? Raw was kind of there, but there were a few headlines, right?
I guess so. Yeah, Raw was fine. I thought people seemed down on it because the past couple of weeks were like really hitting, and this one was maybe weaker than that. But they did some great stuff.
It was inoffensive. You're right. It was very much. It was preceding a couple of weeks of very strong episodes. You're right, and very strong storyline developments. And this week just felt like, we're still telling stories, but we don't need to have any massive beats. A couple of announced upcoming things like the Intercontinental Championship tournaments. You've got Randy and Gunther putting along, and then of course CM Punk and Drew McIntyre gets officially added to Bash in Berlin as a strap match. The Punk promo definitely got some people feeling a certain way, and the first thing I kept looking for was the inevitable article that you would write on Rifle.com. The second the man said he is the male Taylor Swift, he said, there it is. There it is. And then the article popped up, and I'm like, there it is. There it is. Punk and McIntyre, Berlin. The strap is the friendship bracelet, and they're going to beat each other with it. And then they're going to touch the four corners. You think each corner should, by the way, have a friendship bracelet on it. And you have to grab all four friendship bracelets to win the match. He pulled out all those friendship bracelets. There's got to be 3 in his hand, and then the fourth one is Drew's, and that's the big one. That's the one everyone wants.
It feels like much like the SummerSlam stuff. It's the wrong intensity for this feud. I'm going to beat you so bad that I'm going to touch 4 corners. Like, I don't think these kind of strap matches are that good either, because it always seems to come down. Everybody's touched 3, and then how do you get to the 4th? And I'm okay with a strap match, but it should just be pinfall off of that, not touch the corners. I don't think touching the corners is, again, just the right dynamic for this match. I don't think Punk has been as bad as I think a lot of people have criticized him for, like his tone or his promos. I think the tone has been kind of an issue. The tone of, coming out smiling after losing at SummerSlam because I'm just happy to be back. The tone on Monday of like, oh, it's great to be here in Florida. Congratulations to the Florida Panthers. Like, you're a Blackhawks fan. Like, no congratulations. This isn't the NHL draft. Like,
Yeah, it took me a minute to remember who won the Stanley Cup this past year.
what are we doing? And like, oh, such a great weekend at Fanatics Fest. And like, honestly, you know what? That Taylor Swift comment was actually pretty true, because bless Taylor, this is what she does every single concert. It was so great to be here in wherever the hell she is for this one, London this week,
I was
Wembley
going to say
this
Wembley.
week. Yeah. It's so great. Like, you're in such an amazing audience, and oh, I feel the real magic. And like, you know what? The Taylor Swift line makes a whole lot more sense if this is how he's going to act. But I don't think Taylor Swift is in a blood feud with anybody right now, except for like the Billboard charts, because she keeps just re-releasing all her albums. So, but the tone, Punk's tone is just a little bit weird. The smiley, happy-go-lucky Punk is I'm not like super down on it as everybody else. I just don't think that's the person who should be in this feud.
It's nightmare inducing is what it is. It feels inauthentic because of the Punk that we're so used to in WWE. This was something I had a chance to kind of think about is, you know, Punk's big moment in WWE, his big breakout was being the anti-hero, the voice of the voiceless, the guy that raged against the machine, for lack of better terminology. He went against the grain when the creative was bad. He went against the grain when every other storyline was cheap shit and it wasn't very well told and everything. He wanted more out of what WWE was doing, but that's changed. That since the last time he was there, so much, like, the regime has changed, the storytelling's changed, the way of presentation has changed, everything about the program and the product has changed, which is hilarious because it's everything that he was against has now like brought him back, and he's like, oh shit, I like this. And he can't be anything else in his presentation that seems authentic other than just angry old Punk, because he's been angry old Punk for so long. By the way, I gotta point this out, but someone had mentioned that it was 3 years ago yesterday when he made his debut for AEW with that episode of Rampage, and I'm pretty sure WWE countered like 20 minutes later by, here's alternate angles of his Survivor Series debut. Saw that running around the internet yesterday. But with this particular promo and others that Punk has done, he's trying to be company guy Punk, but he's never
corporate man Punk.
Corporate man. No, people have mentioned that before, but he's never been corporate guy. He's never presented that way. And what's even worse is that he's not even doing it in like a character way. He's doing it in a way that where he's supposed to be like, look at me, buy my merch because I want all your money, but also look at how great you all are. It's great to be alive on a Saturday night in Pittsburgh, or whatever the hell he's going to say where he is that week. That's his new shtick, right? Cody does what he want to talk about. And now CM Punk's like, oh, I got to do something different. I'm going to say how feels. He's doing the Metallica thing. He's doing James Hetfield saying, how does it feel to be alive? Show me. And he's doing instead, how does it feel to be alive on a blank night in blank town? And it just feels inauthentic. And I think that's my biggest gripe with CM Punk, is that nothing feels like he wants it to be the way it is. And therefore it makes Drew McIntyre look better, because at least Drew's authentic version of a heel is shining through, because the story makes sense and his feelings towards CM Punk make sense and are valid. So it really confuses, and you and I have talked about this a million times, that this is the only storyline in WWE right now where you don't have to pick a side of good and evil. You just pick the side of the guy you like more. And like, it's okay. But Punk is in some ways he's treading water here.
It does feel a little treading water, but it shouldn't. That's the thing. Like, it shouldn't. There's something real there with McIntyre. And McIntyre... So what Punk said at Fanatics Fest, he did a few interviews, but this was with the Masked Man show, Ringer Wrestling. And he was talking about Drew, and he asked, like, say something nice about Drew. He's like, oh, the fourth best wrestler with a kilt. And then Drew responded to that of like, it's dumb. It's a fake take. Like, how can you say I'm worse than the Highlanders? Like, it's just stupid. Like, Punk's like trying to be cheeky funny, but like it's not. But the main thing that that I took from Punk in kind of doing these answers is he was asked about going home and like, do him and his wife talk about wrestling? And he's like, no, like we really don't, like we get away from it. I try not to bring work home with me. And then he said, this is what kind of bugs me about Drew is he doesn't turn it off. He's on Twitter, he's trolling, he's making some type of comment. You know, Punk is not on Twitter anymore, at least not active, but still sees a lot of what's being said, I would imagine. But Drew doesn't turn it off. And Punk, even when the red light's on, seems to want to turn some of that off and just be sort of, I'm playing nice, CM Punk. And I wish he wouldn't do that. I wish we would get the dig my teeth in or dig my heels in, sink my teeth in CM Punk when the red light is on, of like firing back at this stuff. Like the moment when he, you know, Drew was like chosen one and Punk was like, who gave that nickname to you? Like that was very real and raw. I was like, ooh, oh, that's good. Like we don't see that right now from CM Punk. And I wish we did.
Someone in the chat saying, so are people upset that Punk is happy when all they know is a bitter person? I mean, if it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck and it presents like a duck, he's never been happy. That's really what it comes down to. And I'm talking about I'm talking character. I don't care about what CM Punk is like when the cameras are off and when he's not being, you know, when he's on the stage, because that's what I'm not here to talk about Punk's backstage life, his personal life. That's not up to me. But the way he's presented is, if he's going to be happy, it feels like an inauthentic version of happy, because every time we've seen CM Punk, there's always some tinge of misanthropy involved. He hates people. He's always hated people. He goes out of his way to stay away from people, unless they're a certain type of person. He just doesn't project happy. And when he tries to project happy, it just doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel like he's acting like himself. I could be wrong. He could be the happiest dude in the world, and we don't know it. But the way he projects on television is just not happy.
I'm not gonna project CM Punk emotions. I'm like, if he's happy, I'm happy for him. That his happiness and the way he's acting on television, like if that's really him, more power to him. We're talking about a wrestling feud and a blood feud where this man has taken this bracelet that has your wife and your dog's names on it, that has bloodied you up in your hometown of Chicago, that has trolled you all to hell on the internet. There's a time and a place to be happy. If you want to be happy backstage and, you know, shake everybody's hands and hugs, and you want to be happy in interviews and stuff, cool. I'm saying on television, that ain't the character that fits this story. Him being happy Punk just doesn't fit what is happening in this story. It has nothing to do with his actual happiness. He can be actually happy in real life. But on television, with the feud they are telling, him being Fanatics Fest, congrats to the Florida Panthers, doesn't fit with this. That's my issue with it, not his actual happiness and his actual personal feelings of everything. What is happening on the television screen is what I'm talking about.
Why doesn't he wear a suit when he comes out to cut promos?
Oh, that's the thing. He's wearing like a suit in these interviews, which again, fine. If that's what he wants to do on these interviews and stuff, more power to him. But like when that red light is on, I wish we would see the biting CM Punk that we know is out there that fits this story. There might be a story. If he was doing something with John Cena and it's Cena's retirement tour, I'm all for Happy Man Punk going out there and be like, oh, let's run it back one last time. Remember when we did this? Remember when we did that? And Cena's like, you're wearing suits now. It's so cool. It's so cool to see you back. You've really changed. I'm cool with CM Punk putting on a happy face for a one last run against John Cena, given where they're at in their respective lives and careers right now. This feud everything that is happening with Drew McIntyre, with CM Punk, happy CM Punk, does not work.
Yeah. Just yeah. Oh god. Yeah, just the idea he should come out in his suit if he's going to cut these happy promos. Roberto Luongo, by the way, very, very handsome man. Very awkward on camera, which always makes me
Love
laugh.
Lou. Love
Yes.
him. I don't know if he tweeted about WWE. I should check his Twitter. Great follow on Twitter. I don't
Oh,
feel like he's as active now, but
no, once he outed himself, it was game over.
yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, he hasn't tweeted since July 14th.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Oh, Father of the Year award already locked in. Took the fam all the way to Milan to see Taylor Swift. There's a reason why you like that guy.
There you go. I've always loved Lou. Even in his playing career, he played for Vancouver, which, big rivalry of the Avs. Florida wasn't as big, but Vancouver and the Avs they were in the same division and everything. I always still liked Luongo.
BR Open Ice, they posted a meetup between Punk and Luongo.
Yeah, I know. I did an article on it.
But then there's a reply to it. Again, this is from someone saying, again, what did he do to get his name on the cup? And he replies, I banged the drum game 7, bro.
Let's go.
That's all that matters.
He's also an executive for the Panthers. So
yes. Yeah, he was one of the best follows in all of sports until he outed himself. So many people were just on his case, and it was so funny. He was great. Shout out Roberto Luongo, one of the best. And the Canucks were never good again. Anyway, Randy and Gunther continue their march towards a match. This is going to be a good match, but other than that, it feels like they're trying to get Kaiser over in the meantime. And listen, everyone's putting over Ludwig Kaiser, but yeah, Randy and Gunther, they're moving along, trucking along. Gunther's new character is I'm better than you and you know it. Nope, sorry, we've been there. His presentation is yeah, I'm really badass, but also I'm rich now. Cool. He's the guy. You know what his real presentation is? I am a purebred. I am the guy who never made mistakes and won everything on my way up. I am the guy who is not old like you, opponent X, who screwed up all the way. I'm better than you. You're a screw up, and I'm younger. Did that with Damian Priest. He's doing it with Randy. Is he going to do that with his next opponent? Stay tuned.
I like this. Yeah. I think Gunther's doing a very good job on the mic. That people, I think, were concerned with coming into this year. I think he really held his own against like Sammy going into WrestleMania, and he's done a really good job as champion. And even in the lead up to Damian Priest match, like he's proven that he can carry, maybe not carry, but he can certainly play his part in these in-ring segments that I think people maybe were concerned about prior to 8 months ago. Because, that's such a big part of WWE is like, okay, can you do a 10-minute talking segment? And he can. So, this is good. Randy's always good. Anything he does, the crowd is always so over with Randy, or Randy's so over with the crowd. But it was a good promo, set up a good match. They had a Kaiser and Orton had a good main event, and like it was a fun little piece of business heading into Bash in Berlin next week.
Yeah, absolutely. And the only other thing, we could talk about why it's 6, but it just feels like that's continuing on with American Made. Ivy Niles now in the fold. You and I talked about this. It felt like Ivy Nile getting involved and Maxine Dupree and the Sister Abigail, Nikki Cross character was always going to be on the table in some way, shape, or form. I'm fine with this. I don't think the Wyatt Six are defined down by this. I think this is a perfect placement for them. They are not after titles. They're just after vengeance. They're avenging the family stuff. I don't know, but it's right for them. This is the right story. I don't know if you have anything to add about Wyatt Six.
We knew they were going to target Ivy Nile. They kind of put out the little teaser over the weekend, so it makes sense. They don't have a reason to go after titles. They've already said they're going after people who have kind of like turned on friends and family, and right now that's American Made with Gable and now Ivy Nile after last week. So it makes sense that this is who they're targeting. We're gonna get Uncle Howdy in action next week. Very curious how that looks.
Well, he's jacked, so there's that. Come on, you saw those arms. Man's looking good.
Yeah, I'm very curious how that looks.
I'm curious about who's going to challenge for the Intercontinental Championship after this tournament is all said and done. Who's going to be part of it? I mean, Jey Uso's already been like, I'm doing it. But other than that, like, what's going to happen? Braun Breaker is currently, thank you. He's currently threading a line of babyface and heel in that promo that he cuts, and the video for that matter. He's a very interesting character and someone you didn't expect to be of an interesting character. You thought he would just be, Braun Breaker comes in, Braun Breaker destroys, and Braun Breaker leaves. Instead, he's showing a little bit of Steiner in him. Went to a highly educated university. Did you hear that, Jeremy Lambert? The line of the night.
I don't think Braun Breaker is going to lose the title anytime soon. Yeah, I am very curious to see who wins this tournament. Like, they're setting up Jey. They're really setting up Jey to win this thing.
Oh, not again.
Why?
Because what happens whenever Jey goes the distance? He loses the prize at the last minute. Sets him up for failure.
Yeah. But I think that plays into the story, though. Maybe I'm giving WWE too much credit here. But I think him losing and not being able to win a singles championship will actually play into bringing it back to the bloodline and being reunited with Sammy and then eventually Jimmy and Roman. I mean, he is kind of reunited with Sammy as is, but I think Jey and Sammy are going to win those tag titles at some point. And I think Jey not being able to win a singles title is part of, see, I need my family. I need to be with my family. I can still do stuff on my own. I'm still really good on my own, but the support of my family pushes me to like a different height. And then he actually will win a singles title when he's part of the babyface bloodline.
Just to clarify, when you say wins a tag team championship, it's Raw or SmackDown?
Oh, Raw. I think they'll beat Judgment Day. I do believe they will beat Judgment Day.
Okay.
And it might be a Rhea interference, a Priest interference type of thing. But I think, I don't know when, mind you, it might not be for another month or two, but I think they'll beat Judgment Day and win those titles.
Okay. Yeah, I only asked because both sides have a claim to do it. Whether that's Judgment Day, where Jey Uso's had their number before when it comes to tag title wins, or the Bloodline are currently holding the tag titles on SmackDown. So there's talk about having Sammy and Jey eventually move over to SmackDown. So I wanted clarification just in case you went somewhere else there. But yeah, someone in the chat mentioning Ilya Dragunov winning that tournament. Could see it. He's been off TV for long enough that having him come in and wreck everybody until he gets to Braun Breaker, that wouldn't be bad. Keep them apart for long enough as he kind of, moves his way up. Bronson Reed's another one where they've been building him long enough. And if Rollins isn't going to be back soon enough, then maybe this is the start. Or Rollins can cost him in the final. I don't know. You're out of that. You're not into that?
I don't, because Bronson's going to have to lose. And I don't want him losing.
So there are ways to win and lose in wrestling. He could win the match and then go on his tsunami thing. And then they reverse the decision, and that just upsets him even further. But it will have gotten him out of the tournament, and he will have gone out successfully. Like dominantly is probably the word I would use. That's one way you can get him out and still have him be victorious in defeat.
Yeah, I don't. But then he's beaten up like a baby face. Does the baby face get a bye? Is he just taken out? He gets injured and by Bronson, and then somebody gets replaced. Does somebody get a bye? I see what you're saying with that. It's not. I won't trash that idea. I found my trash can, by the way. I won't trash that idea, but I don't fully love it either.
Okay. That's fair. There are enough people that are going to be involved in this, or that could be rightfully involved in this tournament. I agree that Bronson Reed is should be, but does he need that to take an L eventually? No. There's still build to him. He's still got to, honestly, he still has to beat the shit out of the Miz. He's still got to hit all those tsunamis on the Miz. And then he has to hit one out on Adam Pearce. That's the big deal right there. He's got to take out the GM.
I don't think Pierce is gonna.
You don't think his liver could take it?
Yeah, I don't think Pierce is doing that.
Do you imagine though? Feels like he should. That should be part of it. Absolutely.
I think if he can, then yeah, go for it. I just don't know if that's something they want to do. Then who becomes like the Raw GM? Just Aldis becomes GM of both shows.
No, you can bring in somebody. I'm sure of that.
But we don't need like a big time authority storyline and like what's the payoff on that? I don't need an authority storyline like that. I like that the authority matters but isn't part of like an actual storyline. You know, Drew hit Pierce and was fined and suspended and everything. And like they're there, but they're not like actively involved in anything. If you take out Pierce in this manner, he becomes actively involved because then either Aldis takes his spot or you bring in an interim guy, but then okay, what happens when Pierce does come back? Why doesn't Bronson just take out like the interim guy? Like, I don't need an overarching an overarching storyline with the authority like that.
Karrion Kross takes over.
That sounds god awful.
Well, you saw the digital exclusive after the match. He was so excited.
Giving you too much credit.
he was so excited because he wanted to take more from the New Day, and then Scarlett was like, "Shh, let's go have sex," and that's it. She's gonna level out Karrion Kross. That's it. That's how it should be. Karrion Kross will be the new GM soon enough. What's the name of that group that they have?
I forgot.
Never remember. You should ask the guys outside. Hey, what's the name of that group? I think they know.
Well, I did a bit. Just went outside and be like, "Hey, you guys know this Karrion Kross group?" I'd be like, "Huh? What?
You guys watch wrestling? You guys watch wrestling? It's a TikTok series now.
I hope they don't watch wrestling.
Wouldn't that be the worst? Oh, yeah, someone just says, "Hey, you're that Lambert guy," and you're like, "Ah, shit, here we go." Oh my goodness. By the way, you mentioned giving WWE the benefit of the doubt. One thing that they didn't do was everything we talked about on Monday going into the Monday night show between Sheamus and Pete Dunne. They completely just just let Sheamus win.
Yeah,
they put over Pete Dunne through the end of the match and throughout the match and everything, because Pete Dunne did have a triple threat #1 contendership match last night on NXT, which we'll touch on in a minute. But yeah, they had Sheamus go over. They had I think it was a pretty cute finish with the turnbuckle spot, and then Sheamus just getting real upset and bro kicking Pete Dunne, and that's it. Got the 1, 2, 3. Yeah, match was fine, but like nothing we talked about happened.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. Like, you know, we prognosticate and give our thoughts on what we think is going to happen on this show, but that doesn't mean just because they do something different means what different than what we thought could happen or maybe in our minds should happen. Doesn't mean it was bad or anything. I thought it was a good match. I thought it was a creative little finish, and I was okay with it. I still don't fully love just beating Pete Dunne like that, and then he's wrestling for an NXT title shot the next night. But then he lost the next night. He got pinned in the match with Joe Hendry when Trick Williams interfered. So at the end of the day, it didn't hurt him too much off of that to lose to Sheamus. So I don't think it was bad what they ended up doing with him. I'm very curious. I assume Sheamus is going to be in this Intercontinental title tournament, and Sheamus is probably the guy who gets the victory off of this. I don't know how many times they're going to dick over Sheamus of like, he's going for the Intercontinental title, fella. The one title he hasn't won. Oh, he lost again. Like, I don't know how many times they're going to do that, but it seems like they like doing that. And this could be another opportunity for it.
They just keep dangling banger after banger in front of him, and they just pull it up at the last second. You know, eventually they should probably let him have that championship so he can ride off into the sunset.
I think eventually he'll get it. It feels very, very off-putting to me that they keep bringing it up of like it's the Intercontinental though. It's not like, oh, I've never won the world title, and maybe it doesn't like factor into those plans, but like the dude should have, especially he's still going at a high level. It's not like anyone looks at Sheamus and is like, no more, I don't want Sheamus on my television anymore. Like people still enjoy what Sheamus is doing. Like you gotta put this title on him at some point. It would be, I think it would be a disservice to Sheamus and the audience if like he just never wins that title after bringing it up and making it into a story as often as they have.
Yeah, no, I'm fully in agreement there. They should pay it off. It's been long enough, and there's enough prestige behind the idea of Sheamus winning that title, being the only one that's kind of eluded him. The World Heavyweight Championship, you can, but it depends on the lineage. He hasn't won that one either, but he has won the major world championships in WWE at different times. I would count that. The Intercontinental Championship should be the last one of Sheamus's big championship career. That's the moment that you're moving towards, right?
Yes.
Perfect. And meanwhile, Pete Dunne's a big old loser twice in a row. Ate the pin last night too on NXT. Joe Hendry is going to No Mercy to face All Ego Ethan Page. Now, I'm going to tell you guys a secret. Once again, TNA Emergence runs a couple of days before No Mercy. TNA Bound for Glory is the night before Halloween Havoc as well. There's some stuff going on. This is the first time where TNA and NXT can actually work together in terms of, and I'm not saying promotion, but in terms of the way that their stories can actually converge with each company's pay-per-views, PLEs, specials, whatever you want to call them. There's opportunity there. But yeah, Joe Hendry is number one contender. He's going to No Mercy, and I feel like there's even more to come. I'm not going to spoil the rest of the tapings from last night because they did tape 2 episodes of NXT TV last night. If you want the results, they're all over the internet, including FightfulSelect.com. But there's more to play in, and I've put it on my Twitter as to what I think is happening. I didn't give the names of anything happening, but I have a bit of a timeline constructed as to how this plays out. But I've mentioned on the show, really does feel to me that Josh Alexander gets involved. Really does feel to me that maybe Bound for Glory is the Joe Hendry crowning moment. Maybe that's what it is.
Could be. I've not read the spoilers from NXT last night, so I actually have no idea what they taped. I don't think either of us were shocked to see Joe Hendry win this. I thought that made the most sense because Wes, as we saw last night, he got attacked by Zachary Wentz, and it seemed like they were setting that up. Pete Dunne, we didn't think stuff was over between him and Trick, and that certainly set up more so. And then if you just look at babyface heel dynamic, I mean, Joe Hendry was the only babyface in this match. Ethan Page is a heel. I didn't think they want to do Ethan Page heel against Pete Dunne, Wes Lee, top heels. So that didn't make a whole lot of sense. So Joe Hendry made the most sense. Very curious to see where they go with this. Like, it's a big deal that Joe Hendry is getting this main event spot on an NXT PLE. Like, I know people look at NXT and it's the third brand, and it certainly is, but like they're putting a guy that is certainly over, but a guy that not like TNA has made him out to be until like really recently. And Joel, I know you've mentioned this. I think TNA was like pushing him to the moon or anything. Like he was doing digital media championship stuff. And like the stuff with AJ Francis was fun. It was good, but it wasn't like top feud kind of stuff. Like Jordan Grace was one thing. Jordan Grace, Knockouts champion. Jordan Grace has wrestled everybody in the division and beaten everybody in the division and stands on her own. But Joe Hendry was just a guy who was just kind of in mid-card at best stuff, and now here he is main eventing an NXT PLE. Like it says something about this relationship, and yeah, TNA should really try to capitalize on this, and a good way to capitalize probably be putting on the title, putting it on Joe Hendry sooner rather than later.
Yeah, this is very fun for me to cover because I do cover TNA for the site and I do the post shows. This is it's really cool to watch how this progression has unfurled. And Joe Hendry is very clearly someone that is become TNA's, one of their new golden children, and also someone that WWE is very clearly interested in. You want a guy who has a fully fleshed out character, someone who knows how to work TV, someone who knows how to get himself over in and outside of the ring. That's every single intangible that WWE wants. And now, according to Hendry, we talked about this, he has the deal that he can train at the PC. That's just going to give him a leg up when he inevitably is given that opportunity to maybe sign with WWE when his TNA contract is up or whatever happens there. Hendry, like you said, and like what I've talked about, Hendry wasn't presented this way for a long time. It's only recently when TNA was like, let's give it a shot. Let's move you beyond comedy, digital media, opener moment. He's still comedic, don't get me wrong, but he's found, or he is in the process of finding that balance of being engaging, entertaining, but still serious as a wrestler that you can take seriously because he's put in the work in the ring to further apply his trade. He can play guitar, he can be funny, but now he can show you that he knows how to wrestle and that he's showing you that he does. So I think that goes a long way. Hendry in the main event, that's a big coup for both TNA and NXT because of their planning. And I think again, there's a lot more to be played out when it comes to this partnership, whether it's in the main men's division, the main event division, the stuff with Wesley and with Zachary Wentz also, and then there's stuff in the knockouts. Well, I guess it's the women's division, the knockouts division, whatever. There's still some integration in the women's divisions of TNA and NXT as well. So there's good stuff there, and I do suggest to those who are watching NXT maybe as one of your favorite shows to check out some of the TNA stuff because there is good crossover material. And I'm saying if you're if you're watching everything, God bless you, you're doing some Lord's work. If you are someone who doesn't necessarily watch a ton of wrestling, but maybe you want to check out TNA, then go to their socials, check out what they're doing. Honestly, on Thursday nights, they post the majority of the important stuff from their show on their socials, and you can find it there. And you can keep up with what's going on in their storylines, and it does kind of cross over. You can tell that they're finding the balance. Did they mention Riley Osborne as part of Ultimate X, or did they just kind of not in that opening segment?
I don't pay attention to anything anybody does with Thea Hale and the Chase U stuff. All right.
Oh, there was one moment, I think it was when Ridge was giving his like rah thank you, his emboldened moment, and he's talking to Fraxium, and he mentions Thea Hale, and she's just like, and like her facials, she's like so excited. She's like, "Oh, that's me! Oh my god, look at me! I love you!" And I'm like, this woman is stealing the show, and I love it. She's
the absolute best. Thea Hale. Put the title on her. It's a shame that Julia and Stephanie Vacker are going to come in, and Thea Hale's never going to win this title.
Thea Hale, knockouts champion. She should walk in to Bound for Glory, win the title, and then the next night go to Halloween Havoc and defend it against Wendy Chu and beat her too.
I'm for it.
I'm just giving you the answers that we all need. That's all I want. I guess we can move on now. Where do we want to go? Should we talk about Mercedes?
Yeah, you made this the thumbnail, which
because I couldn't run with anything else that I can't run with anything that's being reported these days. I can't run with anything that's old news or just I don't want to talk about TV deals because we've done enough of that. Like what else could the thumbnail have been that people would have been engaged with? The Ronda Rousey AMA? Probably not. There are only 400 ways to ask the same question.
I died at this. Oh, so like I knew that she was doing this AMA because it got announced like a week ago. All right. So I knew this was a thing. I went to Reddit. I always go to Reddit. They got their issues, but like they do a good job of like putting news on there. So I went there at about 1:00 yesterday. I was like, oh yeah, the AMA was today. Let's see what happened. And I clicked it. And I was like, it was all. So normally with these Reddit AMAs, the answers are at the top. All the answers, because that's all the upvoted stuff. Like you don't have to scroll very far to see like the answers. You scroll down like one question and like it's the first question asked and it's an answer and it's like, oh, okay, great, that's what they answered. I've covered plenty of Reddit AMAs and turned them into articles. I was scrolling for like 10 minutes. I was like, did she answer anything? Like, is there a single answer on this? Because she didn't answer the top questions. She didn't answer the top 100. I don't know if she got it 200, 250, 300, whatever it was. But all the top questions were about her denial of Sandy Hook. And she didn't say a word about that. I don't know who the PR person was who had to, sift through and tell her. But I hope she had to sit down and like read these for herself.
You know she didn't. You know she didn't.
She's been kind of hands-on with this. Is like because she's done a bunch of media. She's did Van Vliet show. She did an interview with Denise as well. Like she's done some media to promote her little Kickstarter and everything. So I could see her sitting down in front of the computer and maybe scrolling through and looking at this. But if she had to read all this stuff, even better. But man, some of this stuff was just bless them. Like you're gonna go and you're gonna give people an open forum. Reddit of all open forums, you got to expect some of this stuff. I don't know how she did it. That would be the biggest thing. Is like she agreed to this and didn't think, oh, you know what might happen here is I've said a lot of things over the years that people are going to use against me. It's one thing to do a contained professional interview with the likes of Chris Van Vliet and Denise Salcedo. It's another thing to open yourself up to the world of Reddit and be like, ask me anything, guys. And it's like, oh.
I wouldn't be surprised in her mind if the pirate question also got me. Thank you, senior nerd. I wouldn't be surprised if in her mind there may have been, or maybe someone on her team when selling this to her said,
they got fired.
Oh, they probably did. But I wouldn't be surprised if they said something like, you've done a lot of positive things. You got a lot of good. You got a lot of good vibes from the community because you talked out about Vince McMahon and you called him an 80-year-old asshole and blah blah blah. Like people have been saying good things about the book. You've made some goodwill choices. Maybe they're not going to do it. Oh, they absolutely did it.
They should have been fired if that was the case. Whoever pitched this to her. I don't know if they have a job today. I hope they do. I don't wish anybody gets fired or anything like that. But if your big idea to Ronda Rousey was, hey, Ronda, maybe they wanted to get fired. And they were like, you know what? As my last hurrah, let me pitch this to Ronda. Like, this is their pitch.
This is their Jimmy Jacobs taking photos of the Bullet Club outside of Toyota.
This was their pitch. Is hey Ronda, let's go do this Reddit AMA. It'll be fine. Don't worry. People will praise you for your comments about Vince. They'll ask you about wrestling. They'll be like, oh, Ronda, we miss you. We want you back in wrestling. They should have expected. Somebody should have. One of the comments that popped me most was like, very ironic that you called your book expecting the unexpected, and this was what happened on your Reddit AMA. Bet you didn't expect this. Oh man, amazing thread. If you just want to go to this Ronda Rousey AMA, she answered some stuff. It didn't get any traction, but she answered a few questions that she'd already pretty much answered before.
Yeah, she answered the easy stuff. Did they take down this AMA?
Oh, I hope so. I mean, I don't hope so, but like I could see just Ronda Rousey calling up Serena Williams' husband and be like, you got to take this shit down. Pretty sure her husband owns Reddit. I think that's how that works. You got to take this down.
Oh, here it is. Wow. It has 0 upvotes.
Oh, yeah. Her questions got downvoted like hell. Like, so the way I actually found the answer is like, you got to click on like the profile of the person answering the question. So like I click the profile and then you can see all the replies. So I could see the answers, but then like you got to click the questions and the question is like blocked. So then I got to click the profile of that. It was a whole ass GPS route to get to where I needed to go to get some type of substance out of these questions because everything was buried under the Sandy Hook comments and questions.
I'm going back and reliving some of this. I really can't. I have to go far. Like you said, I got to go far just to find any responses. Oh, here we go. Someone asked about the Ronda using Joan Jett.
Yeah, that's an article I ran, so maybe that's why it's at the top, because that was about the most. I was like, oh, this is something kind of interesting and new.
So this kind of proves my point to the whole, like, you've built goodwill. You notice how in the response she says John Laurinaitis suggested I change it to save money, and I said no. Who's one of the people that she's gone after in like all of these interviews? All the old white guys, and this is just an excuse for her to do it again.
She ain't built that much goodwill, clearly. Like, that's the thing, is like, even if she has built some goodwill, it's not like she, said something bad about Becky Lynch. Like, all right, I didn't get along with Becky at my time there. We just had differing views. We wanted to work together, but she didn't think I was a real pro wrestler because I wanted to really like script everything out. Like, yeah, Becky and I were just on different pages. But then she says all this other stuff. It's like, all right, yeah, her views on Becky weren't great. Like, we love Becky, but stuff happens. You just don't get along with everybody you work with. It happens. Her comments were denying a mass school shooting with children. So there's only so much goodwill you can like build up to come back from that. And I don't know if you can. Certainly she didn't, but her comments weren't just workplace issues and I didn't get along with everybody. Can build that back up type of thing. Yeah, she's out here being fucking dumb.
Yeah, that's pretty much the way to say it. Cam Bruno sent a generous super chat saying donation to the Ronda Rousey needs a new PR rep fund. Listen, go to rondarousey.com/careers and see if there's a new posting today for a PR representative. Maybe that's the job you want. I don't know. If you want to steer that ship, good luck to you. It's not the one I want. I'll tell you that much. Apparently Scott D'Amore's on CVV tomorrow. Cool. You know what? Scott's back out there. He's talking about his new revived Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. Good for him. Should we talk about Mercedes now? That it is the actual thumbnail, because again, there were no other stories that we could really feasibly talk about here and get people, in the building to talk about.
You're not donating to Ronda Rousey, by the way. You're donating to us. She ain't seen a dime of this shit.
Yeah, no, it's going to us. Like, Ken's giving that to us. Yes. Thank you, Ken. We are the PR campaign, and that we're just going to continue burying the same stuff. We told you. At least we're transparent. The Moné mag comes out yesterday, and All In is on the horizon. We talked about our friend Tony Khan being on the Wrestling podcast at the top of this show. But really the story here was that All In, while it's on the horizon, WrestleMania 39 was almost in the plans for Mercedes Moné. She goes to LA. She spends time at the stadium for a game. Was it for a Rams game?
Yeah.
And she enjoys the experience, and then she's like, oh man, WrestleMania is going to be here. I need to be here. City of Angels, Tinseltown, blah, blah, blah. I should be here. The star of the Mandalorian should be on the stage of WrestleMania. I need to be on the stage. And then I guess somewhere down the line, she gets invited by TK in a group chat that she had with her and Kevin Undergaro. Is that his last name? The guy who does a lot of the work with.
Oh, yeah, Kevin Undergaro. Yeah.
Undergaro. Yeah, they're in a group chat, and apparently they're all friendly at this point. There's no business being discussed, according to Moné, but she gets invited to All In last year when she was still injured, and supposedly that changed her mind, and that started the real conversations about her joining AEW. But what could have been? We could have had Mercedes's return around Mania season last year. What were your thoughts when you read the Moné mag?
So I was having a conversation. It's online. It's on Twitter with Danny. People might know Danny, who big Mercedes. I'll call him a stan. He's a stan. Let's be honest.
He'll tell you the same thing. Yeah. No, we're not talking out of school here.
Yeah. So like I subscribe to the Moné mag. Are you kidding me? She drops a lot of good news on this stuff, including this. And he posted it as well. And like when I first read it, the timing was very weird to me. So if you think about this, she went to a Rams game, which would have been end of 2022 season, early 2023, since really end of 2022 football season, unless you're playing a playoff game, which the Rams were in the playoffs that year. I think that might have actually been the year they won the Super Bowl. Terrible with my time stuff. I think it was, yeah, because it was 2 years ago. They won in 2023 because the Chiefs won this year. Yeah, so it could have been a playoff. Very, very possible it was a playoff game, which means it would have been early 2023. But she had signed with New Japan by this point. And WrestleMania was April 1st and 2nd. All In was announced April 5th, which means she would have known about All In before it was officially announced, which isn't like too far out of the realm of possibility. Obviously, Tony announced it when he announced it, but it's not like he just secured Wembley that day to announce it or anything. Plans would have had to be in place and everything. But it would have had to have been far enough to where Mercedes was like, oh, okay, I will go to this instead of planning to do something at WrestleMania. And then I continued to look at the timelines and see how they matched up. She signed with New Japan in January when she debuted at Wrestle Kingdom. She won the title in February. She was announced for Sakura Genesis, which was a week after WrestleMania, early March. For like first week of March, she knew she was going to be wrestling in Sakura Genesis. It's very possible that she could have done Mania and then done Sakura Genesis. It's very possible WWE and New Japan worked something out because they worked something out with Carl Anderson. So it's, again, not out of the realm of possibility that if she had plans to do something for WrestleMania, that something had been worked out or could have been worked out with New Japan. But the timeline is, I don't want to say it doesn't make sense because I don't know these things. I'm not privy to these conversations. The timeline is just curious of like, I had more questions than answers. Like, I want to know, okay, when were you planning this? When was this game? That would be my first question of when was this football game that you went to that you had planned? Was it December of 2022? Before you were technically out of your WWE contract and had plans to sign with New Japan? Was it January of 2023 after you had already signed with New Japan? And then when did Tony kind of clue you in? Because he didn't announce All In until after WrestleMania. So was it March that you were given a heads up? Hey, we're running All In at Wembley. We would love for you to be there. And that was when, oh, I don't want to do this. And then like, this may have been a plan in her head, mind you, but that doesn't mean she actually talked to anybody at WWE about this. This could have been a plan of like, all right, you know what? I want to be here. I want to be at WrestleMania. But that doesn't mean she spoke to anybody about WWE of like, hey, I want to be here, factor in some plans. Look, I just got to add more questions out of it. And hopefully maybe somebody who speaks with Tony this week or somebody who speaks with Mercedes this week, because I assume she's going to be doing media over in London, ask some questions about this.
Maybe it was the New Year's Day game.
I mean, I guess that's possible. It could have been.
And the Rams?
That was in LA?
Yeah, no, yeah. It's SoFi.
Okay. Oh, Henry's saying Chargers weren't in the playoffs. I thought they won the Super Bowl in 2023.
We're talking about Rams, aren't we, though?
Yeah, Rams, not the Chargers.
Yeah, she was at a Rams game.
Yeah, but Henry is saying the Rams weren't in the playoffs and their last home game was January 1st, 2023.
Oh, so maybe I hit it. Who knows? No, then they played 18. No, that was week 17. And I'm confused now. I'm done trying. Regardless, there's maybe a...
No, I think, here's the thing. I think you're right. I'm the one who is getting the timeline wrong. I thought the Rams won the Super Bowl in 2023. Did they win in 2022? And then did the Chiefs go back to back? Maybe that. I think it's my timeline that is screwed up. Not you.
Let's keep in mind this is Jan 1, 2023. So maybe Rams fall to the Chargers 31-10 at SoFi. So it was, that was it. But then they played another game the week after. That was 18. But they were in Seattle for that at Lumen Field.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, we gotta stop talking about the fake sports. It's true.
Here, I screwed up, everybody. It was the Chiefs beat the Eagles in 2023. The Chiefs beat the 49ers in 2024. I thought the Rams won the Super Bowl in 2023. They didn't. They won in 2022. So it would make sense that the last Rams home game was late December, early January. You guys are saying January 1st, 2023. That makes sense now. I'm the one who messed this up. I got my Super Bowl timeline wrong. Joel, you're fine. You were correct.
Oh, wow. I got something right about football. Jesus Christ.
Yes. Yeah, I'm the one messing it up. That's what's happening.
Blind squirrels. Anyway, yeah, you're right. This is the timeline's a little strange, but it's entirely possible that, if it was early enough in the year, or it was the New Japan stuff doesn't really muddy it up, as you were saying, because look at Carl Anderson. He came back and he was allowed to work a couple of New Japan shows, but also he wasn't brand new signed to New Japan at the time. He was already on. It's very strange. I don't know. Maybe she was in the process of talking about working a New Japan light schedule while working WWE, and maybe there was something in the play there. But also at that time, this is when the TKO merger was announced, was just after WrestleMania, and then Vince was back. And so we know what happened, but like, what was that like? And now I'm curious. And again, this is I would love to talk to someone like Mercedes about this and be like, we got to dig into this, because there is a certain timeline that's being set that has a lot of it's not gaps, but it has a lot of alignment things to talk about. How did things work out? Maybe Mercedes is a time traveler. That's actually a very good point.
Well, the context is she puts out a weekly newsletter, and she dropped this news in her newsletter the week of All In to gain headlines, because it was going to be very talked about, and she knows exactly what she's doing in putting in a little nugget of information like this the week of the biggest AEW show of the year, because people are going to write about, oh, Mercedes was planning to go back to WWE in 2023 for WrestleMania 39. By the way, Mercedes is wrestling AEW All In against Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. It's great to have her back in AEW. She's going to be defending the TBS title. AEW All In this Sunday. That's the context of it.
Search engine optimization. And that's the game. And of course, 3 years ago was SummerSlam. Do you remember what the match at SummerSlam was supposed to be, with Mercedes involved when she was still Sasha Banks?
SummerSlam what?
2021. What the women's title match was supposed to be.
Joel, I just screwed up who won the Super Bowl in 2022. So expecting me to remember what the hell is supposed to happen in SummerSlam 2021, absolutely not.
That was the Bianca versus Sasha match that got thrown out at the last minute.
Oh, right. Okay.
And
yeah,
then and then they brought out Carmella, and then they brought out Becky Lynch, and they did the 26-second finish. I was there.
That was a weird little thing. Yeah.
That got a lot of people upset. That took the air out of that building. And I was there live with Andrew Zarian and our friend Issa, Demon Diva. She was there. She was very excited for the end of that night. She's also very, very conflicted at the end of that show. Anyway, just wanted to point that out. Yeah, Mercedes is happy where she is now, so can't really complain about that. 100 million bags to fly herself out to the UK, and everyone's just like, all those bags? Why are you checking all those bags? I don't think she checked all those bags. I'm pretty sure it was a bit.
Let her.
That's true. Vegas. That's right. The Love Wrestling Club were there. I was there with JPJ, Spencer Love. We had a great time, and we watched the CM Punk return in our hotel room. I had to get an HDMI cable from the front desk so that we could watch it. Anyway, a couple of super chats to hit, and then we can move on to whatever it is we're going to talk about. Will Chisholm says, it takes real talent to take the heat away from Hogan saying racist stuff about Kamala Harris.
Oh, we're past 5 minutes. Fuck Hulk Hogan.
Thank you. We can bring that back. Oh, don't need to put that out longer than it has. And Chi-Town Spirit says, great response to the Ronda AMA. Can't wait to see people who do the same during Bo Dallas's match next week. Oh, dear.
Oh, is Bo one of those people?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember. I'm going to leave that alone.
Yeah.
What else is going on? Dynamite is tonight in Cardiff. They have sold out according to WrestleTix. There are 3 tickets left. That's a sellout. Right? Is that a sellout to you?
Yeah, it's close. Yeah.
It's a sellout. They're going to have the sellout. It's fine. There you go. Supposedly on Jericho's podcast. So, yeah. Do you want to talk about Dynamite? Where we got a lot of stuff going on before All In hits. We got Dynamite. We've got a Collision. We've got a Rampage that was taped last Thursday that will air, and we're going to jump from Cardiff to Dallas, back to Cardiff. But Cardiff will have been taped on Wednesday, and Rampage will have been taped last Thursday. So there's a lot of storytelling going on within the stories of trying to track when things were said. But I'm looking forward to it. What's got you interested in all that, in All In coming up? Because there's certainly plenty. Has anything changed? Has anything made you more excited coming out of this this past few days?
People are very mad at my takes online.
You keep putting them out there. Okay, hold on. I got to pull up the recent one, which I appreciated, by the way. People were very interesting. And I quote, "It is crazy to look at the top guys in AEW 5 years ago and realize how little presence they have on All In. Moxley and Hangman aren't booked. Best wishes to Kenny. People want Jericho to retire. The Bucks feel cold. Cody is gone." Well, the Jericho thing makes me laugh the most because Jericho's like, F you, I'm never going to retire. I could still do moonsaults and I have a 6-pack, baby. But yeah, you got people in their feels over that one.
Why? I don't get it.
Have you taken their favorite wrestlers who started your favorite promotion and you've told them that they should be upset? But you didn't tell them that, but that's how they want to hear it.
I legitimately, I've broken my own brain with this.
Yeah, congratulations. You really went hard. There's an even better one we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah. That one I was trying. That one I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
This one legitimately, it was just an observation. That's why I said, oh, it's crazy to think about this. And then people and I quote tweeted someone of this of this is the issue with social media is people are putting a label good or bad on this. Oh, it's a good thing that none of these people are actively involved because look how many stars they've created. Oh, it's a bad thing that none of these people are actively involved. Look where the company is at now. I never said it's good or bad that these guys aren't in a top position on the card. I just said it is crazy that 5 years ago, here were the top guys, and now they don't really have a presence. And then people want to play semantics of, oh, Hangman and Moxley are booked. Hangman's going to be on the show. Look, maybe he is. I fully expect him to be. As it presently stands, he's not booked for this show. He's not publicly booked. Maybe behind the scenes, Tony Khan already has all this figured out. I assume he does. Fine. We don't know what actually goes on in Tony's brain. We don't know what he's actually booking. We don't know what he has planned and everything. Publicly, Hangman Page, not on the card. Publicly, Jon Moxley, not on the card. But people are being just fucking weird. They're sending me DMs over this stuff. I'm like, what? I never said this was a good thing or a bad thing. All I said was wow, 5 years ago, here were the top guys. Now, 5 years later, this is their spot. This is what we know going to the week of. Some of it's not their fault. Obviously, they can't control Kenny and his health issues. Some of it's not their fault. They can kind of control Cody leaving, but just 5 years ago, these were the guys. Now we're at the second year of All In. They didn't really have a presence. Man, people are being fucking weird. Yes, I am getting DMs, by the way, of people who are trying to yell at me. I just ignore it. I don't care. But what are we doing?
You got people thinking about how their favorite company started 5 years ago, and maybe some of them are upset at the honesty involved. You didn't speak out of turn. You didn't say anything out of pocket. And for people who are Cody's fault is that he couldn't win the top title in his own company. It doesn't even matter at that point. You didn't if Cody were going to be at All In, let's say last year, maybe he didn't need to be going for the world title. Maybe he could have been in a premier match, maybe a big debut. Maybe he was going to put someone over. Maybe he was going to be over on some sort of big match. I get it. That maybe the match was if I win, I get a title shot. I break my stupid, my rule. But yeah, Cody's gonna win the casino gauntlet. That's how it's gonna work.
Could they control Cody leaving? He seemed focused on going to WWE. It depends on who you talk to on this. It does seem like there was something that happened. Cody has been honest about Brandy, and how something happened there, and that he wasn't a fan of what went down, and so that played a part into it. So there were certain aspects that may have been able to be controlled that weren't, and he left. And it could have been just a simple thing of, hey, you know what? I was focused on WWE. That is where I wanted to go. So I was gonna leave. Don't know. Cody's probably never going to give you a real straight answer until he's long gone and is willing to talk about that kind of stuff. I can only go based on what he has said thus far. And he has mentioned stuff that has happened that maybe could have been controlled.
Yeah, exactly. The Bucks feeling cold. Yeah, we've talked about it on the show. Doesn't mean that the company isn't seeing results in other places, but the Bucks are day one guys. You're right. Who else is on this list? You mentioned Hangman. We already talked about the Hangman stuff. Kenny, we've already talked about. Like, there's nothing here is not true. Everything.
The funniest response was like, "Oh well, Hangman and Moxley are definitely going to be on the show. Kenny's out injured. The Bucks are still focal points, but there isn't a whole lot of heat on this match." I was like, thank you for reiterating everything I just said.
Yeah. Why does everything you just say, like, why does your tweet suddenly become invalidated by that? So ridiculous. But yes, the other tweet that you had mentioned that I really have to bring up is the one you were thinking of. This one was funny and I laughed at this, and some people really bit, and you had to clarify, which makes it even better. AEW All In 2024 is going to do 50,000 times the fans and business WrestleMania 36 did, but the podcasters don't talk about that. Well, we're going to talk about it. That's a big number. 50,000 times 0. Whoops. No, it's not. 50,000 times one giant fan. I always think about, do you think about that fan? I think about that fan at least once a week.
So here's
massive industrial fan. Jesus Christ. How much do you think that thing costs? Do you think it's made of skis? I have questions because they're bent up at the end. Very interesting.
Here's the funniest part of all of this is I tweet that yesterday. That was clear. I'm fucking around. Bless the people who didn't get that. But then I tweet the AEW, and so people yesterday, like the WWE fans, were very upset. Of like, oh, it was during the pandemic, and yeah, I got a lot of the 50,000 times 0 is 0, and then of course I had a response on it, which I'll get to. But and the WWE fans were very upset about this. I did that, and the AEW fans were all on my side. They're like, yeah, AEW, they won't talk about this. Let's go. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. And then I do the AEW tweet today, and now all the fans that I made yesterday are like, wait a second. Why is he being mean about AEW? Look at this WWE guy trying to downplay what AEW is doing of the week of All In. Y'all got to make up your damn minds on whose side I am on. I'm either on AEW side because I made a joking tweet about AEW business being better than WrestleMania 36, or I'm on WWE side because I made an observation about how much AEW has changed over the 5 years. Make up your minds on which side I am on. Let me tell you. Let me talk to you.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. Neither's paying right now. I ain't made a fucking dime from either company right now. Even when I create t-shirts for that company.
Shout out to you, by the way. You've learned that it's time to move on. It's time to pivot. We have found a new Danielson meme to go for.
Yeah, that was a good one. I'll probably be using that one again today. So
I think that's the one you need to move on from now on.
Yeah.
There was an article that just dropped on the website this morning. Danielson, no, actually, this is from Colin. It was about who Danielson would want in the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
Did you see this? And you saw the answer?
Yeah.
He says, Paul White. Says, quote, Paul White, he's just enormous, and I think the zombies would be scared of him. But also, he has a lot of guns. I know that's not common here in the UK, but in America, boy, and then he laughs. I honestly, I don't think that's the right answer. I think the answer should have been Paul White, because then they'll eat him first and I can run
Yes.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's always the answer.
yeah.
I don't have to outrun the bear. I just got to outrun you.
So you get Paul White, you throw him to the zombies, and you run your ass away. You can do it, Brian. You're massive. Apparently, yeah, there was also a Mariah May answer to that as well.
Mariah May's answer was great because she's like Nigel, because he'll throw himself in front of me. Like I won't even have to like do anything. He'll just sacrifice himself. It's a good answer.
That's very funny. And then of course the Taz. Taz would run away, or at least attempt to. But by his own admission, he's got bad knees. He's not running very fast. If it was 28 days later, Taz would be the first one to go, says Nigel McGuinness.
Yeah, that's what it is. You don't have to outrun the zombies. You just got to outrun the person the zombie is also chasing. So
that's right.
That's it.
I'd pick the WrestleMania 36 fan at the PC.
So yeah, people really thought they got me when it was 50,000 times 0 is still 0. I don't craft these tweets without thinking of these fail safes. Everybody, fucking genius at work over here. Motherfucking lyrical genius over here.
Speaking of lyrical geniuses, you saw the you saw the John Cena news revealed to Club Shay Shay that he is going to.
What do you mean? I saw it. I'm the one who covered it and wrote it and broke it.
Nah, you break a lot of things. He broke it himself on a different podcast. You just brought it to the forefront.
I mean, technically, yes, he broke it himself because he said it. But who was the first person to note it and to mention it and to get all the engagement accounts all riled up?
The goat, Jeremy Lambert. The other goat, by the way, happy belated birthday to Andrew Thompson. Having the best of birthdays. My God. Go follow him on Twitter. He's got a whole album of shit he did for his birthday. Good for him. Anyway, John Cena has revealed he's signed an extension to remain with WWE past 2025. Probably not a performance contract if he's going to stick to his retirement, but maybe it's going to be Coach John at the PC. What do you think of that?
I don't think it's going to be anything like that. I think that it's just basically a Legends ambassador deal. That's my big takeaway, because they were talking about WWE owning the name John Cena, because that's what they have the IP on that. And Cena's like, we have a very generous relationship, very great relationship, and so like they're very kind when it comes to that. And then that's when he's talked about, I signed this agreement past 2025. So I don't think it's definitely not a performance contract. I'm going to believe John Cena that he's going to end it at 2025, but then he's going to continue to stick around and do things as he should.
Yeah, there's no reason why he shouldn't, especially because another person that was their Legends ambassador maybe decided to run his mouth over a couple beers, brother. So at least this guy, the other guy, at least John Cena, if he becomes a Legends ambassador and goes around and talks about the product, talks about WWE, I think more people will listen to him at this point. Why not? But that's after he finishes winning his 17th World Championship and then his 18th. He should be the guy. He should be the guy forever.
Hangman Page has commented of if he's scheduled to be at All In. Well, I bought a ticket. I booked a hotel. I will physically be at All In. I'm not going to tell you my intentions, not going to tell you my thoughts, but I will be there because they want to book me in a match. So what Hangman Page is saying is he's not booked for the show. They want to book him, but he's not.
Oh my God. This is the gift that keeps on giving. You got to double down, please, for the love of Christ. Get your receipts to her. Get your receipts to her, Jeremy Lambert. It's time to go running. Oh, Hangman rules. Oh, that's good stuff. Should you should absolutely just ask Hangman. Be like, hey, you booked? Hangman watches our show, confirmed. Hangman, if you watch our show and you want to come and talk to us, line is open just for you.
Hangman to be on the show. Hangman rules.
He's someone that I would love to sit down with and just talk. We don't even need like no wrestling. Just want to talk about like fatherhood. I just want to talk about all that stuff. I want to talk about using the t-shirt and whether or not that kid's gonna wear the t-shirt that was dropped into the crib by Swerve. What are we doing here? We gotta talk to Hangman about non-wrestling stuff. I think that'd be fun.
I had to correct these other dorks out of the way, by the way, of friggin' the All In stage being the Taylor Swift stage. What is wrong? What? That is Taylor Swift's stage. She's not just gonna leave it up for AEW to use. This is why Tony Khan was like, yeah, our load-in time is going to be outrageous because they're doing the Taylor Swift tour. We're basically going to have to pay extra to get it in quicker because they got to take her shit down and we got to put our shit up. I'm pretty sure they're not going to be using Taylor Swift's stage for also, AEW All In.
That's not really something that happens normally.
Well, tell this to all these dorks on Twitter.
There are a lot of people who just don't know how anything works on Twitter.
Yeah, true. But there was people who quote tweeted that I like. Luis Polito. I don't know if he's in the chat today. But
he's around.
He quotes it. He's like, oh, that's a big stage for AEW. No, come on, guys. Come on. It's Taylor Swift's stage. She uses it at all her shows. She's not just going to leave it at Wembley like, hey, AEW, use my giant stage for your show. She takes that shit with her. They got their own staging that they use.
It literally sleeps in the second bed in her hotel room. The whole stage just packs up into a neat little box and it sleeps in the. It gets its own first class seats on the airplane. It's gonna be Taylor Swift versus Saraya. I don't think I want to see that. Maybe I do. You were about to say something. Here's close.
Taylor Swift probably throws like a mean pump kick, honestly.
It's true. That would rule. Would she do it in the stilettos or would she do it in a pair of boots?
Oh, whatever era she's in is what she would have to do it in.
Oh my God. She's the best. You know what? Taylor Swift, 6-packs and a moonsault, and she can take out Jericho. I'm sure I'd enjoy that. Her and Jeff Jarrett should be in a tag team match. Taylor Swift and Jeff Jarrett versus, I don't even care. Just let Jarrett win. That's the match. Oh, but it's Brie and Bryan Danielson versus Jeff Jarrett and Taylor Swift. Winner gets the All-Out World title match. Come on, you think this is a good idea?
A shoot style pile driver. That'd be good.
She learns a shoot. She learns the gotch pile driver. Oh my God. Anyway, where was I going to go with that? I forgot. Oh, but yeah, this was the other thing is, you've got Hangman listening to us on our show, and then you got the whole like Triple H scrolls through Twitter in Gorilla, and then he gave you what happened on Monday. That was the night that he decided to put the phone down. That was the Raw where he was like, we're just going to try something new and see how that went. See, sometimes it's good not to know what happens backstage, friends. Sometimes it's good not to know that Triple H scrolls on his phone in Gorilla. You gotta let him cook. Let him. That's why Shawn Michaels does so well. He doesn't have a phone. He leaves his phone in the other room, 3 states away.
See, Shawn Michaels got everybody blocked, so like he doesn't have to.
He doesn't know.
Yeah, he doesn't see any of this stuff. He just blocks everybody. Bless.
One of these days, I'm gonna get unblocked. Are you blocked by Shawn? I forget.
No, I'm not.
Very strange. I don't understand it.
I've always been a big Shawn Michaels guy, though. So.
I mean, I don't think. Oh, I guess you know what? He probably went and blocked everyone from Canada. If I had to guess, Shawn Michaels, who hates Canada, probably just blocked everyone.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Do you want to preview Dynamite? I don't know. I don't have much else to go through.
Is Hangman Page on this show?
I don't know. He might be, for all I know. At this point, he's not anywhere other than in the country where the shows are going to be this week. Where's he going to be? Where's he going to be tonight? That's the big question.
I assume he'll be on Dynamite.
Will he, though? We don't know. When are they going to air Dynamite? That's the other question. Will Dynamite?
They're going to air it live on TBS, 8 p.m. Eastern.
8 p.m. Right. Are we going to be able to see it on TNT? TNT2 in the UK or wherever it
I don't
airs.
give a fuck about the UK.
Sorry, I'm going to be ignorant for a second. Where do they air in the UK? Are they still ITV? No.
I have no idea. I
I
don't live in
actually
the
can't
UK,
remember.
so I don't care. I thought everybody just watches it on Fight. Like everyone just watches it on Fight over there.
That's true, actually. Oh, so I wonder. I'm assuming AEW Plus is ITV saying. I wonder if they're going to actually give it to us. I don't know. Listen, this.
I don't think they are. I think that was a big complaint is like it's
Yeah.
not airing live in UK.
Would have been nice.
I love when WWE does that. I assume we'll get that next week when they're in Berlin. I love that.
Oh, yeah.
Like I just watch the show at 3 or whenever, and then I'm
1.
done. Then I don't have to watch it any longer.
No, I'm fine with that. Take a Friday night off.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Although they're doing it next week, and I've got TNA Emergence to cover, so maybe not as great. Next weekend's going to be busy. What are you laughing about?
Hangman Page is asked. Hold on. Okay, people who have despised each other wind up fighting on the same side with a sort of grudging respect for each other. Is there any world in which you could see you ever having that kind of respect for Swerve? You have lost your fucking mind.
That's the answer right there. That's so funny.
Hangman rules.
Oh, man.
Bless him.
Sending our love, by the way, to the Ratty Daddy, to Cole Radrick. He's
I see him on Friday.
You do.
Yeah.
He had an update. He's still working at it. He wants to be out of that. He wants to be getting better as soon as he can. So sending our love to Cole Radrick. Hopefully he's feeling okay.
I feel like he's gonna beat me up on Friday.
Kind of hope he does. But just for the benefit of us. Well, I mean, I'm not a nice person. Who is it?
Clanging and banging. It's Paste Magazine, everybody. Hangman Page with Paste Magazine. Everyone can go check that out. And give a shout out to them.
Yeah, it seems like everyone's doing print media interviews this week. Yeah. Although they're doing a thing on Friday, aren't they? They're doing a press junket.
No,
they're not doing anything for All In.
Okay. I have no idea, honestly. They're doing some type of like meet and greet thing. That's on Saturday.
That's Saturday, yeah, celebration.
I don't know if they're doing a junket on Friday. No idea what they're doing.
Okay, I was wrong, maybe. Anyway, Dynamite. That's all I got. That's all I got is just the Dynamite preview. That's all I have left on my list of topics.
Okay, preview.
Unless somebody else here has something that y'all really want to get off our chest or ask us a question, you can do that. Go ahead. You can ask questions. Well, do you want to do it while we preview Dynamite? We'll solicit questions.
Preview Dynamite, Joel.
I don't want to do it. Should we do it with should we do it? What's a Wales accent like?
Oh,
I know, right?
You can't do, I would imagine.
Do you want to? You should do it like Pac. You tried the Pac accent the other day.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
You should try it again.
I don't want to.
Really? Why not? You're usually really good at pretending to do accents.
Where's the Dynamite preview? Cracky mates.
That was a few months ago, or if you're in our Fightful Select Discord, a few months away.
What does a Wales accent sound like?
Apparently, it's just.
Is that? Oh, okay, that makes sense. What?
You ever watched
Orca whale? Yeah, let's do like an orca whale.
That sounds awful. Oh, hey, you think Danielson's gonna come out to Final Countdown on Wednesday tonight?
I hope not.
Well, it's the final showdown.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't come out to the Final Countdown on Sunday either.
Wow, he's told you to set his expectations low.
I want him to come out to like
Time of Your Life.
No, I want him to like whatever. I don't know what kind of music Bryan Danielson listens to. I don't
think he does.
I want him to come out with like an audio book. Just
it's the audio version of his book.
Yeah. Just Brian Danielson goes out to an audiobook.
This is that Becky Lynch WrestleMania 40 entrance all over again. And then he comes out through the book, but it's instead of a big AI generated one, it's an actual, or sorry, AR generated one. It's an actual giant book. That's the answer right there.
That would throw everybody off. Comes out to like an audio book of like, I don't know. What's a well-known Icarus? Is that a book? I have no idea if that's a book or not. I don't read.
Icarus.
Yeah, sure.
It's just lyrics to songs read out in the style of. So basically, it's what's his face? Going back to Star Trek. Oh God, what's his name?
William Shatner.
William Shatner. Yeah. Thank you. Can you tell it's been a long morning?
Yeah, he needs to come out to an audiobook. I think that would be great. Oh, if he came with an Ice Spice. I've never in my life heard an Ice Spice song. I cannot tell you what she does or doesn't do. All I see her is twerking. That's all I ever see of Ice Spice is she twerks. I couldn't tell you. I tried to listen to Ian. Is this dude's name? Tyler, the Creator, was talking about him. He's some white guy. And Tyler, the Creator, was like, he's basically an industry plant. And so I guess he released some new song. No idea what the fuck it was called. He's in like a desert and he's like dancing. That shit sucked. That was awful. I lasted like 20 seconds on that. I listened to it for like 20 seconds and then I like turned it off. And then like the next day I was like, did I give this a fair shot? Let me try this again. I tried it again. It was still awful. Hey, I don't know who this dude is. Maybe he makes good songs. This song that I listened to sucked.
Someone's saying it should be Gilbert Gottfried reading the lyrics to WAP. He did that on Howard Stern, and it was very funny.
Macaroni in a pot. That's a wet ass pussy.
Yeah, no, you have to listen to the Gottfried version. It's very funny.
I'll listen to that right now. That sounds amazing.
It's very funny.
That sounds way better than whatever this show's about to be.
Tony just added a trios match to the show. It's going to be Darby Allin and FTR versus the Elite.
Oh, that's fine.
That's a thing. They want to work Wednesdays. Do the Elite?
Do they?
Supposedly. I mean, this is what they're saying. This is what Tony
Gilbert Gottfried WAP. Can you do a Gilbert Gottfried voice, Joel?
No, I don't think I could. See, I can't do it.
That's not bad.
But then I got to scream, and I'm sure my wife is like, "What the fuck was that?"
Yeah,
it's 2 hours. I can do that.
It's for the bit. All right, let me listen to Gilbert Gottfried doing the lyrics to WAP.
Doing some lyrics to WAP. Are you gonna run the audio too through here while you're at it? It's very good. I encourage you all to listen to this. By the way.
Yeah, you're fucking with some wet ass pussy. I can't do a Gilbert Gottfried at all, but this is
very funny. Oh, love that man. Gilbert Gottfried was the best. This is what you should be doing while you're leaving a thumbs up. Just laugh your ass off. Oh, God.
Put this pussy right in your face.
They were dying in the studio, too, when that happened. It was the best.
You really like the lyricism of this song is amazing. When you hear Gilbert Gottfried read it.
And he's trying not to crack.
Like, I know the lyrics. I've listened to the song. I know the chorus. Anyway, well, what are the lyrics? Hold on.
He's going to read the lyrics through.
Spit in my mouth. Look in my eyes. This pussy is wet. Come take a dive.
Oh, God. They're talking about a calico kitten. Maybe a tabby, a short-haired tabby. I don't know. My goodness.
Can we play this video or are we going to get copyrighted on that?
Probably get copyrighted on it. But maybe the audio. I don't know.
Oh, can we take the audio?
Probably. I mean, listen, I can probably run this through.
Okay, yeah, get the
That's
audio.
Uber Eats. Let's not do that.
Who gives a fuck about the Dynamite preview? This is what we're ending the show with.
That's
Here's
fair.
on Dynamite, everybody. Okada and Claudio, Timeless Tony Storm and Saraya, Big Bill against Hook, Will Ospreay and MJF face-to-face, Chris Jericho against Tommy Billington. They just added a trios match, Darby and FTR against the Elite, and Jack Perry. I guess he's technically Elite. And then the final showdown moderated by Nigel McGuinness, Bryan Danielson, Swerve Strickland. There you go. There's the Dynamite preview. Let's hear Gilbert Gottfried singing the lyrics to WAP.
It's the final showdown. Sorry. All right. Tell me, can you hear that?
No.
One sec. Let's see if I can get this.
Joel.
Hold on. This is always the thing. Because normally you can hear my thing. Here, how about that? Yes, no?
No.
Hold on.
This.
How can you not hear it? That's weird.
What do you mean, how can I not hear it?
Well, no, because we've had this before where you can, right? Like my Windows sounds you hear.
Yeah, I hear that shit all the time. It's annoying.
I know. So why can't you hear this? What if I pop it? I'm going to pop it into a different browser. I don't want to put it in Bing. What am I thinking?
I don't know what you're doing, Joel.
Edge. Everyone's edging tonight. How about this? Can you hear
Comedy legend
Yeah, there we go.
Gilbert Gottfried reciting the lyrics to WAP from Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. The floor is yours, Gilbert.
Yeah, you fucking with some wet ass pussy. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet ass pussy. Give me everything you got for this wet ass pussy. Beat it up, catch a charge, extra large and extra hard. Put this pussy right in your face. Swipe your nose like a credit card. Hop on top, I wanna ride. I do a Kegel while it's inside. Spit in my mouth, look in my eyes. This pussy is wet. Come take a dive. Tie me up like I'm surprised. Let's role play. I'll wear a disguise. I want you to park that Big Mac truck right in this little garage. Make it cream. Make it scream. Out in public, make a scene. I don't cook. I don't clean. But let me tell you how I got this ring.
Yep. That's it. So, this is what it should be. That's the entrance for Bryan Danielson at All In.
Cool.
And you got the girls in the background doing the dance to the Gilbert Gottfried version. You can put that version behind like a heavy metal riff, and it would sound really good. Oh God. Louis. The biggest Dynamite in AEW history, the first Europeanish Dynamite, and we are listening to what? Who cares? No, you know you have fun with it.
I'll see you on Friday, Louis. Me and Louis will do a wet ass pussy duet. That's what.
Could you? Oh, that's all I want.
Can you imagine?
Oh, that's gonna be great. Oh man. Oh. Do you have your Max hat or your WBD hat?
No, why would I have that?
I don't know. It seems to be like everyone's wearing that these days.
No, I'm going to be wearing my 2022 Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche hat, just like I'm wearing my 2022 Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche hoodie.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I'll be back on Friday. Who knows where Jeremy Lambert will be?
I'll be here for maybe the first hour. Maybe.
We'll see. Maybe he'll take the day and go for a long drive. Yeah, where's your Fightful hat? The other Lambert guy.
I don't have a Fightful hat.
Well, you're the owner. The owners are supposed to wear the hats.
No, it's a new one.
Maybe ask Jimmy at 3:00 instead. How about that? Anyway, back on Friday. I'll be here. Jeremy might be. Who knows? Maybe the world will move on without us. We'll find out. Anything else you want to plug?
For those who are curious, I think Dynamite's going to be very good tonight. I think the crowd's going to be very hot,
Yes.
and I'm looking forward to the showdown between Danielson and Swerve. I think that'll, especially Nigel. I don't want Nigel to overplay things because it's not about him. Like when he's on commentary, it's fine, and he can get his cracks in and stuff, and it's funny. But when he's doing this, I don't want him to be as focused on with like his little cracks and his jokes and stuff. Like the focus needs to be on Danielson and Swerve, not so much Nigel throwing his subs at Danielson. That's my concern for this segment. I think it'll be very good. I need Nigel to tone it back from what we typically hear of him on commentary when it comes to Danielson. Ospreay will be super popular and over, and like the wrestling's always good.
I was gonna say this is a pretty balanced show. Adding the trios match was just kind of like a little extra here. Have some wrestling with some story, and hopefully it heats up the tag match. We already know, like the coffin match between Darby and Jack Perry is going to be good. Like we already know that's already got some heat behind it. But now you can add to that. Plus the Acclaim will get involved. Billy Gunn will probably beat everyone up, and that's fine. But at least there's something going on to have that trios match. The Okada and Claudio, that's the match that I'm most curious about. Does that open the show or does that close the show? I know you said Final Showdown should close the show. I don't necessarily disagree with that. But also in the vein of AEW programming, you don't always close with that promo, but it's for the world title. I know that's the thing. But then you open up with Okada and Claudio and have that match go 25 and have just a long, hot opening match. And then you do MJF and Ospreay do the face-to-face afterwards.
It depends on what you have for Collision because you're using the same crew for Collision.
Yeah.
And this is a rare opportunity where they can have stuff on Dynamite thread over to Collision, especially their big stuff when it comes to using guys like Danielson and Swerve and Ospreay and MJF. So if you have what you think is something stronger with Danielson and Swerve on Collision, then maybe they don't close this. But this does feel like if you're calling the Final Showdown, it's probably the close. You're probably just running a video package on Collision. So in that sense, I'm closing with Danielson and Swerve.
Yeah, I can see that. It's you open with, oh man, that's the thing. Maybe Okada's the 9 o'clock match, and you open up with the trios.
Yeah, they're probably going to open with Ospreay. Honestly, they're probably going to open with Ospreay.
Yeah, but then you're going to book him with a face to face and a promo. It's rare. I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's rare that AEW does that on their TV.
I would open with Ospreay because he's going to get that monster pop coming out, and I think that's going to look really strong. I think the crowd's going to be hot all throughout, but I'm okay with bookending two kind of promo segments like that, and because the wrestling in between is going to be really good. And I don't think we're going to have too much in terms of promo work elsewhere. It feels like Collision's going to be, obviously they're doing the wild card trios match, and they'll add some other stuff, but that feels like it's going to be kind of a video package heavy show.
So now I'm starting to think, you know what? I think Final Showdown will end the night. I think MJF and Ospreay might be the crossover.
Okay.
That might be the start of the second hour. And then maybe you'll open with the Darby trios match, because Darby's going to be very popular, so I could see them do that. And then Okada and Claudio is the match before the Final Showdown. And the second match of the night is oh god, there's so much going on. This is going to be a weird show, like in a good way. I don't know. I'm interested in how it lays out. The layout is always important to me because that kind of sets the tone for how pumped your crowd's going to be. And like you said, Collision is another thing we have to factor in because they're going to tape Collision afterwards. Therefore, they got to use some of the talent that are already on this show, potentially on the next one. But we'll see. It's going to be a fun night. We're going to watch Dynamite as a family. Or you're just going to read the spoilers. I don't know what you're going to do. Do whatever you want. I don't care. Watch the wrestling. We're going to be back on Friday. Well, anything left to plug, Jeremy?
No.
You sure?
I don't ever have anything to plug. They announced Dynamite sold out, which is good news.
Good. They should. That's what we talked about earlier, that they were 3 tickets left in there.
They did 4,000 more fans than WrestleMania 36.
You should probably tweet that. See if anyone has anything to say about that. Oh, for Jeremy Lambert, I am Actual Pearl. JOELPEARL. Ladies, gentlemen, friends beyond the binary. We'll see you on Friday. Till then, enjoy Dynamite. We'll see you then.